Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doom Tomb Podcast, a podcast for all things stoner, doom, and sludge. My name is Chris. I am your host. Right off the bat, I have a few updates, a few different things, a few changes to the show. First off, I am not going to be doing any show notes unless it's requested. I've been doing the show notes for a little over 2 years now, but I rarely, if ever, hear anyone comment on them, so I don't know if they're a waste of time or not, so I figured I'd leave them out for a while and see how that goes. I'll put in a bio, a link to the bands, of course, a link to how to reach us, and our show, of course, on craniumradio.com, Sunday afternoon/evenings, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check it out every Sunday if you get the chance. That would be awesome. Also, second, I'm going to try to cut down or even eliminate all music on the podcast for now, just so I can try out and see what the numbers would be on Spotify. Why, you might ask? Well, I've talked to a few people about the podcast and they were interested. And the first question that each and everyone asked is, are you on Spotify? So I figured I'd try it out, see if the numbers help to reach a wider audience. I will find out very, very soon. And finally, we're going to get to the band. This is a two-piece band out of Florida. It's a father-son duo. Let's hear the interview right now. This is Dizygote. Dizygote are a father and son loud and heavy metal duo from Cape Coral, Florida. Ned plays guitars and sings while Ethan smashes the drums and handles backup vocals. Ned is a disciple of classic punk rock and all things loud and heavy, while Ethan dabbles with the difficulties and technicalities of prog and newer metal genres. Their sound stuffs elements of sludge, doom, punk, thrash, and prog into a blender and spits out something altogether different. And I apologize if I broke up a little bit there, but I was seeing Ethan. We got each other on camera. He's starting to break up. But, dude, you guys are really powerful. Now, I am with the band, and I'm going to say it right this time, Dizygote. Gentlemen, can you introduce yourselves?
You first.
All right, cool. I'm Ethan. I am the drummer.
All right.
And I'm Ned. I brought him into this world.
Awesome.
And I'm the guitar player, and I sing.
He plays actual notes.
Yeah,
I just make noise.
And what a fantastic noise it is. You know, it's funny because we're talking off mic, and right away I'm like, all right, so I got the guys in Dizygote. Now, silly me, just not noticing that there should be an extra Z there, so it is not. It is Dizygote. I got to ask now, band name, how?
So this is an idea that I came up with like a long time ago, because I was like trying real hard to get a music project together, and I wasn't finding anybody that it was kind of working out with, and so I just started writing stuff on my own, and I figured, I don't know, I kind of like the sound of it, and I like kind of the connotation, and at the time I had no idea, if it was how many people the project was going to entail, because it was just me.
Right.
So it's just something that I came up with a while back, but it turns out it was pretty fitting, right?
Yeah, it now makes sense when I look at all your merch, and I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get what you've been doing. Thank you for that. So you're in Cape Coral, correct?
Right.
So Cape Coral, not too far from Fort Myers.
No, just across the river.
Yeah, because I used to live in Palm Beach County, Florida. Okay. So anytime I went over to Fort Myers, I forgot what the road is now. It's not 98. I forget. You know what I'm talking about? Like I got to cut through West Palm, and then I got to go through Belle Glade and Clewiston and all that.
Sure. I don't know.
You know
the road.
75? Or
he's talking about as you cut across the state by Laco through all the sugar cane and all that junk.
No, I don't know.
But I will tell you this: there is this one spot. I think it's right at the end of Belle Glade. They have probably hands down the best boiled peanuts I've ever eaten in my life.
Really?
Oh, ooh, so good.
My sister's a connoisseur of boiled peanuts.
Is she a fan of the spicy or not so spicy?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find out.
All right, fair enough. But it's like, you know, when driving up and down, and especially in Florida, like everybody looks at, or I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people look at like the Miami and the Palm Beach, and it's all glitzy and this and that. You go an hour away, it ain't like that, and you have like country stores that still have screen doors.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And that's where the best peanuts are. I swear. So now that you're in Cape Coral, what's the music scene like? Is there a good a lot of places to play, or?
There are a couple. There's a small kind of tight knit little scene here, the metal scene, and it's a lot of. We're kind of like the black sheep in the metal scene here, you know.
It's a bunch of death metal and grind.
It's a lot of and black metal and stuff like that. Yep. And there's some really amazing bands here that do that stuff. I mean, like really freaking good, man. Like mind-blowingly good. And then there's us.
Now, like all of this like death and grind stuff and a bunch of metalcore, and then you have sludge metal. Is this just us?
Yeah,
there's something about that mixed bill, though. I'm liking it. I like the difference, and you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing out a little bit of each to get to a wider audience. You know?
Yeah, and this, like I said, the people here that support the scene are really great people, and there's a couple of venues in particular that are small little intimate venues that are like kind of like playing at home, like our home spots, and those are the places you go to see good local metal. You know,
were you talking about like Ollie's or Old Soul Brewing?
Ollie's and Howl, and there's Crashland Productions, which is a husband and wife team, and they do monthly shows typically at Old Soul Brewery. Right. Although the venue changes sometimes, but it usually works out pretty well at that spot. And those are the main places, and they pretty much kind of drive the local metal scene here, you know.
So here's a question. So because you're kind of like in the middle or so of the state, or more towards the lower, but.
Yeah.
What I did notice when I was living there, I saw a lot of death metal. You know, like if a Cannibal Corpse show played, it'd be sold out.
Oh yeah.
But, I'd only see a band of this genre, like The Sword or something, come through like maybe once a year.
Yeah.
So just so people know, so other bands know, if they're going to head down and make that trek down to Florida, you know, eventually hitting Miami, like Churchill's or something like that. Yeah. What would you suggest where would you suggest they play?
Well, definitely hit up Miami. I mean, Miami's a hot spot for all kinds of stuff. I mean, the more I got into the metal scene here, the more I realized, damn, there's a lot of like really awesome stuff going on in Miami. And we've played down there a few times with some awesome bands. And so the Miami area is happening. Tampa, of course, that's right. Like the Mecca, you know. That's a tough nut to crack, though, man. I mean, there are a lot of sludge and doom kind of bands and people that love that stuff in Tampa, Ybor City, you know,
right?
St. Pete, and we're trying to get in because we know if we can get in there that they'll dig it, you know, for sure. I don't think there's any question, but. So if you're swinging through Florida, those are the two spots you definitely want to hit. And then shit, while you're at it, swing through here.
That's what I'm saying. So when people are coming through your area, where do you suggest they play?
So Howl or Ollie's are two local spots that are kind of on the small side, but they're known and they're well supported. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the crowds are built in there, and so either of those places would be great spots. You know?
Awesome. And I know there's another band that they play more of like a stoner doom out of Tampa called Beer Wolf. Are those guys?
Familiar. We haven't met him yet, but we're familiar with him. Yeah.
I think that would be a definite part of the bill. And then there's another band that I was recently talking to in Palm Beach. I think Seven Serpents. I think that's the name.
That name rings a bell, but I'm not sure. But they play with so that whole scene in that Palm Beach area. There's like Iron Buddha, or one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then you've got Holly Hunt, and then you've got oh my God, what's that band that we had come in here and then it didn't work out last minute? It's like a mix between like punk and death. Oh Jesus! Holy crap, man!
What was the name?
El Jesus.
El Jesus. Okay.
It's just one word.
It's intense, man. They're holy crap. Yeah, they're great. So that's that whole Miami sort of Palm Beach area over there, and there's a lot of good stuff going on, man.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
There is. I almost feel like I left in 2016, and that's when everything started to blow up with this style of material.
Yeah. Metal's there's just so many little tendrils coming out of it now. When I was a kid in the '80s, as a punker, thrash metal was just starting. DRI and COC were kind of crossing over, if you will, into thrash metal, and now it's like you've got all of these subgenres, all these little nuances, and you see them all here in Florida, man. You really do.
And I appreciate that because there's so many different elements. I interviewed a band a while ago called Lord Buffalo, and they have this like Americana folk almost vibe, which I wanted to discuss with you for a second because you were in this band Chatham County Line.
Yeah.
And in listening to it, I had that vibe, that almost that Americana folk where, like quite honestly, when I'm not listening to this, I'll throw on some Amos Lee or Andrew Duhan or something like that.
Yeah.
And even like one of my favorites, because just it almost hooked me in instantly with this one song, Keep the Wolves Away, Uncle Lucius.
Uh-huh.
And so do you think that from what you had played in that band, that you think that you bring any of that into Dizygote?
I'm not consciously aware of that, but I've had there was another interview we did where the interviewer pointed that out to me. And so I guess it's kind of inevitable, Yeah. It was kind of like when, I don't know, it's not really like this, but the first thing that comes to mind was when the Foo Fighters' first record came out, it was all Dave Grohl. Right. And everyone was like, oh, it sounds like Nirvana. Well, he was a third of Nirvana.
What do you expect,
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the whole my time with Chatham County Line, first of all, it was a long time ago, 18 something years. But I don't know. I mean, I think that was a time when I was really delving into kind of the craft of songwriting and honing my musicianship, and maybe that's what carried over. I don't know.
And it sounded beautiful. I mean, the harmonizing and that. And now that brings me to a question, Ethan. Do you ever play? I know you play drums, but do you ever do vocals as well?
Yes, I do, but it's more screamy stuff.
Screamy stuff. Were you? Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that as we go along. Thank you. So, Ethan, do you go to regular school, or is that like?
I go to school normally. Okay. A normal public high school.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to get out. I thank you for that. I appreciate that. So you go there now. Are there other people that are listening to this style of music, or do you feel like you're more of the outlier?
I feel like I'm more of like that outlier, but I feel like there are more of those outliers, Right. Like, I'm not the only one that listens to Tool, but Tool as something you listen to at my school, it's just not common. You don't see it often, but I'm not the only one. I'm definitely not the only one.
And that's a good thing because, there's a band down, or a band over here where we are, called Grail, and there's nobody that's over 17 right now. And, for them to say it, it's like, they're like, no, everybody's listening to hip hop, R&B, and country in Arizona. And there's very little of this stuff. So, it was kind of interesting because I don't know if you've experienced this, due to an age where it might be hard to play in a spot, or you got to play and then you got to head out, or whatever. But you got your dad with you, so maybe they'll let you stay. But some of these kids, they got to play and then get out. And I remember this one time specifically where they say, okay, you can stay here just if you stay at the merch booth and don't move. And they're like, okay. And they finally, I could see their faces. It's like they finally felt that they were home. They got with their people. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're finding some people that you go to school with that are into the same things you are. So you mentioned Tool. So what else is driving you right now? Now, I know you got Danny Carey, which is an amazing drummer. Are you listening to music, Ethan, more for the drumming or just the overall concept of the bands?
It's like a mix of the two. I pay attention to the drums, but I pay attention to everything as well.
Right.
So take Mastodon, for example. It's like you have like a complex rhythm and maybe one or two leads on top of that. And then you have Ron Daler just going nuts on drums. Mm-hmm. And I look at it as both the big picture and just on drums too, and how it fits with everything else.
Okay, so you're falling into some of the heavier stuff, not necessarily thrashy or death stuff, but stuff that has it's thick and it's heavy and it's got a big groove.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, more or less, yeah.
Now, because it's father and son, I'm sure I can't imagine there not ever being an argument. But have you ever come to I want to play it faster. I want to play it slower. Has that ever come up? Because you're more in the punk scene growing up, and
it's more like I want to play more complex stuff.
Okay.
With like a hybrid picking and like some trem picking, you like, I don't know, like more complex guitar playing techniques, and then he's saying that he wants I want these thick, fat riffs,
right,
that just absolutely just plow you over. And so, I mean, there is a little bit of that, but we try to mix it to the best of our ability.
Yeah, so we don't really have disagreements, I guess, and over song direction. I mean, we'll have differences of opinion, and we'll talk through it, and we'll try things one way, try things another way, and then we'll agree on whatever we feel like works the best. You know what I mean? But and that's one of the cool things about collaborating, is, either one of us will bring ideas to the table and we'll run them through, and the other person can go, ooh, what if we try this? And maybe that's something you haven't thought of before, but damn, that works. So,
That's exactly how it goes. And it's, essentially it's the same with a band. It's just, I always find it interesting when you have people that are related in the band and what that dynamic is.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't really turn it off, that's for sure. I mean, it's on 24/7, I mean, we're always sharing riff ideas with each other and all, I'm giving him homework. Hey, you go listen to this, and he'll give me homework. Hey, go listen to this.
Right. So first off, Ned, what was the last thing you gave to Ethan where he's like, yeah, this?
You mean in terms of songwriting, or in terms of something to listen to?
And something to listen to.
Something to listen to. What was that? Can you remember?
It was anything from Weather Report.
Oh, you like that stuff? You like? Dug it?
Unfortunately, I haven't checked it out.
So he's lately. See, Ethan also plays guitar, and he's he's real good, and he's getting into jazz. He's just discovered Miles Davis and all that kind of stuff, and so and he really likes. He was a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about in the 70s when Miles got into the fusion, jazz fusion, and stuff like that. And I was like, well, you might like Weather Report, Mm-hmm. And, so
I think that music can also lend itself to what you play. It's you can take from different avenues and different genres and create something new.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah.
So also, so Ethan, what did you show your dad that he's like, yeah?
I showed him a band, Dune. They're from Scotland.
Oh yeah.
They spell it with a V. It's Gaelic, right?
I don't know, but they kill, man.
Yeah.
I first heard them, I was like, first of all, I couldn't wrap my head around the guitar sound, and Ethan was like, "Oh, it's a 9-string guitar." And that's when I discovered the whole 9-string guitar thing. This was like, what, 2 years ago, maybe?
Maybe not.
I don't know, something like that. So Dune kind of like blew me away when I first heard them.
Yeah, they got that. They've got that like kind of like a post metal, maybe a little prog.
Yeah.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a little bit of stoner in there too. Just throw it in there.
So, Ned, now, I in researching the band, you said that you had a solo project. Have you ever released material from a solo project?
Nah, I mean, probably the closest thing would be that first Dizygote album,
right?
You know, the one with the baby on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect timing. Let's get into that. So, okay. First off, I don't see it on Bandcamp unless I'm missing it.
No, it's not on Bandcamp. Okay. I guess I could put it up. I just haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
What type of music?
Well, it's pretty much proto Dizygote. It's this band, but it's all me. It was before Ethan. So Ethan was like maybe 11 when I did that.
Oh wow!
And I did all of it myself on my iPad and GarageBand, and so, and the drums are actually a drum machine, right? Because I can't play the drums like that. But I tried to make it imperfect so that it didn't sound drum machiney, you know?
Sure. Exactly.
And I think it came off okay. And, you know, the production's not perfect because I did it all myself. And I think the only thing that I had someone else do was the mastering. I shipped it out to a studio in LA and they did the mastering. But everything else I did myself. And that was the start of us playing together because we started with those songs.
Right.
But we changed them up a little bit. We detuned so that it was a lot, you know, doomier sounding, and some of them we slowed down, and we changed a little bit of the structure up, and so that was kind of our starting point as Dizygote, the band, you know.
Right.
So that's kind of like when I was talking earlier about the solo idea that I started. That was kind of the culmination of that, and then when Ethan was old enough and able enough to play with me, then he slid in, and then those songs, that was like 2016, I think, when that came out. Those songs were our starting point, and so our first shows that we played together were those songs, and then very shortly afterwards we started writing new stuff, you know.
So Ethan, like, what was is it because your dad is a musician that you started picking stuff up, or did it just happen kind of naturally? And I know you play guitar and drums. Do you have a preference?
I don't know. It's like it depends. I think I'm more fluent on drums, but I still can play guitar, I think, to the best of my ability so far. As far as it comes to how I picked up music, music has kind of just always been around me when I grew up,
right?
And still growing up. It's kind of just always been there. That we've always had a drum kit somewhere. We've had guitars. We've had upright basses. We've always had CDs, vinyl, you name it. And then with him being a musician, and I remember this very vividly, it kind of like kickstarted something. And I guess especially so when I had like a toy ukulele, I would like hold it backwards because I was like, what, 2? And I'd get up on stage with his band, and I'll just dance and have fun.
Oh yeah,
and with a ukulele, playing it backwards, like a lefty.
Yeah, love it.
And I mean, I probably stole the show a few times.
You did.
I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to have fun.
That was part of the magic, everyone. It was funny.
Yeah, so I guess that's how it started. That's probably my best answer.
Yeah. I got you. Now you have a few things on Bandcamp, and I want to go over them and what the future for the releases are. Now, you had Living in the Dark.
Yeah, Live in the Dark.
Oh, Live in the Dark, yeah.
Or Live in the Dark, huh?
See what I did there? Yeah. So you had one of the tracks that you have on the latest release, but you also had The Ghosts of Low Country.
Yeah.
Will that be on the future release?
No, because The Ghost of the Low Country was actually on the very first Dizygote record.
Gotcha.
And so what we did with the live thing is we took The Ghost of Low Country and we wrote In Circles like maybe a week before we filmed, and that was our first song that we had written together. Yep. And then we went and shot those in my friend's art studio with a film crew, and captured the sound and everything. And so that was kind of our intro, I guess, as a band. We had 2 good, quality live videos made, and then the audio from those we released as just a real short EP. And so it was basically The Ghost of the Low Country kind of redone, and I wanted to redo that one with good live drums, and because I really like that song. And then In Circles, of course, was brand new at the time, and it turns out that, I don't know, a lot of people seem to like that one. And then so we figured, well, we might as well do a studio take of that one.
Okay.
To put on the new record. So that's really, there's a little bit of, holdover from each piece to piece, but that's it, just the one. Everything else on the new album is all brand new stuff that no one's heard.
So now I just want to make sure. So you released In Circles.
Yeah.
And is that going to be a part of Freedom Incorporated, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 2 songs that we released, In Circles and Narcissus and Lexus, are both off of Freedom Incorporated.
Gotcha.
And then there's a lot more.
So how did you get hooked up with Jack?
Oh, yeah. I just reached out to him, and I was looking for somebody really good to help us make a record, and I liked a lot of what he had done, obviously with Bleach and Soundgarden and On Fire and Windhand and all that stuff, and Mudhoney, and so I went to his webpage online, and he's got it's almost like a manifesto.
Yeah.
It's like, picking his brain on, it's like someone picked his brain and put it all out on, this old format website. But anyway, you dig through all that stuff, and it's like an FAQ section, and it basically says, one of the questions is, will you record my band? And the answer is yes, but, mm-hmm. And he basically says, I'm really picky, and, submit your music this way. If you do it this way, you'll never hear from me. Do it this way. And if you do it this way, then I might get back with you, but probably not. That kind of thing. Right. And so I figured, well, we have nothing to lose. So I followed his instructions, and he got back with me and said, I'm in. I was like, well, shit. Okay.
You can't get better than that.
Spam folder for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, his email went to my spam folder and sat there for like 2 weeks.
Oh shit!
I didn't know. So I finally was like, I wonder if Jack and Dino's going to get back with me. And I just just checked my spam folder for some reason, and there it was. I was like, oh shit.
It was the right time.
Yeah, and I was like, crap. And so I emailed him back, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. It's so long to get back with you. I explained to him. He's like, that's cool. You know,
it's rock and roll.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these 2 tracks, and then I'd like to talk about the full release. So we have In Circles. What can you tell me about that track?
Well, so that was the first song that we wrote together, and that was all about, we just wanted big, heavy riff. And we had just gone to see Sleep, I think, in Tampa.
Yeah, in Big Business.
Yeah, what a great show, man. Sleep in Big Business. Yeah.
When was that?
This was about a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it last
summer.
January.
No, it was last summer.
It was 2 summers ago then. Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know. It was a while ago.
I think maybe it was different on the East Coast because I saw them around that same time, and they had Bell Witch opening.
Oh, wow. Oh, damn.
Heavy.
So anyway, we saw them, and of course, you know, it was mind-blowing and awe-inspiring, and so I was really inspired to write some really big, thick, heavy stuff, and so that's what came about. And the lyrics are all about, I'm big into social justice, you know what I mean? And,
okay.
and you know, the inequality that everybody faces on some level. And, you know, right now it's economic inequality is the big one. You know, where all of us are getting screwed by the 1%, you know, the billionaires. And this whole coronavirus thing is legit for sure, but it's also, you know, no crisis goes unwasted, right? So this is an opportunity for those people to consolidate even more money. I mean, you've seen how they've taken this coronavirus stimulus money and poof, off it goes into a black hole, you know what I mean? And so it's about that. It's about how, you know, basically it's kind of a call to arms almost, you know. Mm-hmm. We're the 99%, you know. Step over the line and fucking fuck shit up.
Yeah, pretty much. And what can you tell me about Narcissus and Lexus?
Yeah, that one is, the meaning behind it is real similar. It's about, I'm fascinated by like psychopathic behavior.
Okay.
I endorse it, but it just fascinates me, you know, that somebody can be that selfish and just turn off like this whole morality in their brain. And so it's about those kind of people that basically collect people and burn them for their own, you know, for their own personal gain. You know what I mean?
So true. And you know what? I do also appreciate that, you know, in just 2 tracks, you kind of encapsulated, unless there's more to the band that I'll find out with the full release. But mm-hmm. you've got this In Circles, which is this burning thickness, and it plods along like this heavy, I don't know what you want to call it, dozer of a truck. And then you've got Narcissus, which is a little bit faster, brings in really does bring in a tinge of that punk element for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't know. I'd say those 2 songs together are a pretty good representation of what we do. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for the most part.
Yeah. And we definitely have some other tunes that are real heavy, like monolithic, you know,
like slow.
Yeah,
like slow stuff.
Yeah.
Almost in like Funeral Doom, or more just like heavy sludge.
It's real heavy sludge. Yeah.
It's funny because in Narcissus, I mean, it's the first time, I don't think I've ever heard this in Doom, where I actually hear a couple do-to-do-to-do's. That's the first for me, I got to admit, but welcomed. There's
no rules, man. There's no rules.
There are no rules. So with this release, what do we have going on? I know we've got this whole crap show going on, but like what's going on with the full release, and when do you think, or are you timing it with what's going on right now?
That's the $1 million question. So the original plan, I mean, basically all I can tell you is the original plan was to have the full album out. We didn't originally plan on releasing 2 songs first.
Right.
We planned on doing the full album and basically touring all summer, just like everybody else,
Right.
And then, of course, that all came to a grinding halt. And so when we signed with Pharmadelica Sound, and then literally was maybe a week or 2 after we signed, all this shit happened. And so we were like, okay, now what do we do? And we talked about it. And Howard said, well, it's probably not a good time to release the record. We need to wait and just kind of feel it out and see what happens.
Sure.
And he said, in the meantime, what we can do is release just a couple of tracks just online. So we decided to do that. The record's ready to go. We've got like this amazing cover illustration done by this artist named Eric Pfluger, who lives in the area, and he did a really, I'm looking at it right now, it's hanging on the wall. He did a really phenomenal job, and everything's in the can, ready to go. We're super, super excited about it. There's kind of like some surprises on it that we're not really saying anything about yet,
I gotcha.
And we want it to be out now. Of course, we also want to get out now and play.
Sure.
We haven't played in 6 or 7 weeks, but I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. I know that there was in Arizona, there was a few bands that had their releases like right in the middle of it, like the end of March or whatever. And it's like, what do you do? They had release shows planned and everything, just nothing.
I know. Well, Elder went ahead and pulled the cord on theirs. They released their new one last week.
Yep.
And they've got a big enough profile, I guess they can get away with that, but
yeah, I don't feel like there's been any shortage. I get submissions, and the submissions have been maybe just to even to generate income now.
Yeah.
Through the merchandise or what have you. I really don't know. I was talking to my wife about it earlier, and it's like, I really don't know what the future of live performances are going to be for really the rest of the year right now. Like I know. Nobody does.
Right.
But whatever. Either way, let's move forward from that. Just because after a while it's just like you get down this rabbit hole of BS, and it's just ugh.
I know.
So before we turned on the mics, we were talking about gear.
Yeah.
And I would like to do a little rundown of your gear. What do you got?
So for guitar, I got a lot of stuff going on. So I've got several different guitars that I have in different tunings, and most of them I built. And matter of fact, I'm starting another build right now. I've got, when we go play live, I usually carry 3 or 4 with us, because any given night we might play out of 2, maybe 3 different tunings,
Okay.
So drop C, drop B flat, drop A, those are the big ones. And now we're screwing around with what we call Mastodon tuning, which is
it's drop A in D variations.
Yeah.
So it's A, G, C, F, A, D.
right. And it's powerful, man. Super powerful.
Now,
so that's another guitar.
In looking at where you are, do you have to reinforce the foundation for this music?
Surprisingly, no. It's Florida. Everything's made out of concrete, right?
Hurricane proof and sludge proof.
Exactly. And the neighbors have not complained yet, so that's good.
It's been like a year now.
It's 2 years. Yeah, no one's complained, which is amazing, because we play at home really freaking loud, man.
Hey,
often.
Yeah,
it's a testament to the quality structure that you live in.
Yeah. So being a duo, there's a lot of spaces that we have to fill, because one of the things that I did not want was to sound thin. I wanted to sound really, really, really big, and so right. I run 2 big guitar rigs and a bass rig simultaneously. And so I've got an orange stack. It's a OR 120 head, or sorry, it's the R120 head, and then in a 2x12 combo, and that's on a 4x12 orange cabinet. And then I also have a Marshall 412, a 1960A, and then I've got an orange custom shop preamp that goes to that, but that goes through a power amp, and then so to drive the Marshall, and then I've got a Fender 410 cabinet for my bass, and then I've got a preamp for that, and that goes through the other channel on my power amp. And so I run all that stuff simultaneously, and I've got independent control over everything.
And that power amp is a Crown.
Yeah, it's a Crown power amp, 2-channel power amp.
For two guys, that sounds like a lot of power.
It is, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, of course it is.
Some of the comments that are some things that are said to us are like, "Oh my God, you sound like a 4-piece.
Yeah.
You're just two guys. How do you do that? What?"
Yeah,
that's interesting because I don't want to give this away on mic, but I'll tell you off mic. There's something else that I wanted you to see if you ever tooled with.
Okay.
We'll talk about that after.
Okay.
So. Ethan, what are you using, and what do you want? What don't you have for your kit yet, and what do you got?
So I need to look at it for a second. Okay, it is a PP Concept Maple kit. So it's a 14-inch snare, an 8 and I think a 10-inch rack tongs, and then 16-inch floor tom. What's that kick? Is it 20?
20 or a 22?
It's either a 20. I think it might be a 20-inch kick. And then I have iron cobras for my double kick pedals. And then I have, for now moving to cymbals now, starting with the hats, it's some Zildjian A Master Sound hats. And then I have a cracked Sabian AAX Stage Crash, and then another Sabian cymbal, an HHX Explosion Crash that's 18-inch, and then I have a K Custom Dark Ride. It's 20 inches. Yeah. And then
that's where the magic is.
That's the true magic. It's loud. It's powerful. It's the sound that I've been wanting for since forever. It's great.
Well, that's his second one. He broke his other one.
Yeah,
he had a vintage one of those, and he broke it.
Wait, hold on. That's
right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then in place of a China that I actually kind of am looking at, I have a cymbal stack, and it's a cracked. They're both cracked. Let me see what it is.
I don't know if you can hear you over there.
I can kind of hear it. So
it's a Zildjian A medium crash, 16 inches on top of an old K Custom Dark Ride. Same size, same everything. It's just,
but they're both severely cracked.
So yeah. I've talked to some other drummers, and some people, they live with the cracks. Some people get them cut out. Have you ever thought about getting it cut out?
Well, I tried that with the his crash that he's still working that's cracked right now. I tried to drill the end of the crack to stop it.
Yep.
Didn't stop it.
Didn't stop. All right. So Ethan, what are you looking to get?
I'm thinking like a Byzance,
China,
like a jazz China, like a Byzance jazz China, and then another set of hats on the other side, right? With like one of those remote cable hi-hat stands, with like this same drop clutch system thing that I have on my hats here. Maybe a splash. A splash can't hurt.
It can never hurt. It's always a good thing to have a splash. Well, thank you for that, guys. I appreciate the rundown, and I know the fans do too, to see, like, they listen to it and they want to say, how are they getting this sound? So I appreciate that. Now, within the music, is there ever a chance that you might do a cover?
We actually have done one live. It was an old COC tune from from their 6 songs of Mike singing EP. Are you familiar with that one?
I am not. I will say, like, I know a lot of the COC. I started off with Animosity.
Okay, so this was pre-Animosity. This was so they did 6 songs with Mike singing. It's a live EP, and the whole thing might be 5 minutes long.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. This was back when they were still kind of more or less like punk rock. And then after that, the next one they did was Technocracy. But it's one of their songs, Eye for an Eye.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's maybe a minute and a half long, something like that. But we've done that once or twice, and that's it for covers, you know.
I've come across that, but I didn't remember that EP. Maybe I'll check it out on, I'm sure, you know, you can't get anywhere, but maybe YouTube has a link or something.
It's on YouTube. It's magic, man. It's when they were in between singers, and so Mike Dean was their singer for a little while, and he's got this like wildcat like yowl kind of thing going on that you cannot reproduce. I've never heard anybody sound like that before. And when you hear that all live, and as the energy is there, it's so super badass. It's amazingly good. Yeah.
It sounds raw. It sounds great. I'll have to find it and put a link in the show notes for it.
Okay. It's good stuff, man.
So when you're creating music, does the music come first, or the lyrics come first, or has it switched off? Or
the answer is yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
It's both. Both. Yeah, it depends. You know.
I got you. Now, do you want to talk about any of the song titles for this release, or you want to keep it secret until we get it out?
I mean, we can talk about it, you know.
Or just throw a few out. Like, what do we got?
Well, so one thing I can tell you, we'll leave it at this, because I think this is, I don't know, this is kind of cool, I think. There is a poet by the name of Christina Rossetti, and she was alive in the mid 1800s, and she was British, and in her time she was relatively well known for her poetry, but it's some dark stuff, man. And so there's this one that she did that's called A Dirge, and it's brief.
Okay.
But it's essentially equating kind of the loss of life to the change of seasons, and how this person, the subject of the poem, is kind of born out of sequence. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, instead of being born in the summer, this person's born in the winter and during, you know, the worst of times and all that kind of stuff. And so when I read that, I was like, dude, this is an amazing doom song right here. And so we took those lyrics and that poem and adapted them into a song called A Dirge, and it's got to be one of the heaviest on the record, I think. You know. Oh,
I look forward to hearing that. That sounds like that's going to be a heavy one.
It's real. Yeah, it's pretty damn heavy. You know, I was trying to channel Ozzy on that one. So.
Okay. With triple tracking or without triple tracking?
Yeah, with the triple tracking. Yeah.
There you go.
At least double. Yeah.
Now, what was, for both of you, what was the last song that really got you emotionally? Something recent.
Why don't you take this one? I gotta think about this.
It can be anything, I guess.
Yeah, anything at all.
Yeah, there's no rules.
Most recent one that kind of hit me was Tapping Out by Issues.
Really? And what was it that got you?
It was... For starters, it's an interesting mix of pop and R&B mixed with like new metal and metalcore. It's really interesting, and it works. It surprisingly works really well.
All right.
Especially how they have it laid out, and it's just the groove of it that attracted me first, and then at some point I looked at the lyrics and I'm like, whoa, that actually describes how I'm feeling 100% right now.
All right.
So that's the most recent one. Tapping Out Issues.
I'm going to have to check that out on YouTube or whatever. Do you think they're on Bandcamp or no?
I haven't really.
Where'd you see it?
I actually was first introduced to them by Nick Nocturnal. He's a YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's doing like
Gotcha.
like the heaviest riffs in drop D1, and he recently got an 8-string, so he had that opportunity. And that's kind of how it started. And then I checked him out on Apple Music, and
right.
And then it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can vibe with that.
Well, you know what? They might or might not be on Bandcamp. I'm looking at them right now with over 500,000 followers on Facebook. I think they're doing all right.
Hey, I think they're doing all right, yeah.
Yeah, they have a Wikipedia page. If they have at least a Wikipedia, they're doing something right.
Yeah, really.
It's so true. Okay, for the both of you, what was the last great movie you watched?
Oh, man. We've been watching a lot of movies lately.
Last great movie.
So, man, let me think about that one.
For me, it's Toy Story, the original Toy Story.
The original.
That's a great movie, man.
It really is.
It really is.
Nostalgic, even though it's from 95?
Yeah, something like that.
It's even nostalgic for me. I watched it when I was 2.
And it's hard as a grown-up to watch some of it, and then there's a point where you're like, I think I just got something in my eye. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not crying. That's just dust.
Yeah,
not crying. You're crying. Yeah, we just watched that the other night. It's funny.
So, if your life was a movie, what title would best fit it?
Man, a life was a movie. Groundhog Day.
Right now, yeah, dude. You nailed it. That's it. That's perfect. I think there's a show on Netflix called Russian Dolls.
Yeah.
With Natasha Lyonne. I think it's like a similar idea.
Is it?
I believe so.
Check it out. Yeah.
So, guys, thank you. Now, I didn't do this in the last interview that I had recently, which was with Smoke Mountain, who was also a Florida band based out of Tallahassee.
Cool.
But I wanted to know, do you both have a question that you want me to ask in the next band I interview, which I believe is going to be Red Mesa?
What do you think? I don't know.
I'm going to answer this.
Go ahead.
I'm determined. I'm going to answer this. I just have to think of it.
You know, it's funny. The last time I was interviewing somebody and I put in a little of the Jeopardy theme music while they were thinking.
Oh, yeah, right.
I am not going to do that again. Oh, my God. I got flagged so fast for that.
So what do you want to ask Red Mesa?
South by Southwest played there, something like that.
Okay.
Have you played at South by Southwest?
All right, and let's see, who else do I have on here? Deserts of Mars. I'm supposed to be doing an interview. Lophius. Maybe I'll ask him a few of the same question or something like that. I don't know who I'm going to interview yet. We're just setting up all the times right now.
Ask him mayonnaise on their cheeseburgers, yes or no?
Oh, please, that's a given. I'm a yes.
You're a yes,
yeah,
I'm a no.
I'm a yes.
You're a yes.
What's wrong with you? Leave.
That's okay. All right.
Okay, now,
rules.
Being in quarantine, whatever, we're doing our thing, and I made these manwiches, and I like them hot, don't get me wrong, but the cold manwich,
Holy shit. Sorry. But I really, I tried. All right, full disclosure, I know, Ethan, I know you're a young man. I'm sure you've heard all the words before. I was trying to keep everything clean.
Dude. It's
inevitable.
It's futile.
I know.
It's inevitable. You might as well just let it out.
He's been exposed
I do not care
to everything at this point. He's bulletproof.
I just don't care.
That's awesome, dude. I put on. I had these cold fucking manwiches. And I put the mayo on it. Oh my God, so good, man. My wife don't understand it though. She's like, I just don't get how you could do that. So before we leave, what do you put on your burger besides, I'm assuming, some ketchup?
Ethan's he's all in, man.
Yeah, I just go full in, just everything.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Lettuce, you got it. Tomato, you got it. Onions, ketchup, mustard, mayo. I don't know. Sesame seeds on your buns? I don't know. That might work too.
You put sesame seeds on your buns, I'll leave it off of mine.
Extra sesame seeds.
I don't know. Maybe mushrooms? Will that work?
Oh, that'd be nice.
No, I'm just joking.
No, mushrooms are for pizza. That's a pizza thing.
Fair enough. Okay, and since you brought this up, because this has been an ongoing subject of debate, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
All right. That's what's going to resonate with some people. I'm not going to say who, but they're in the other room. All right. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. How can everybody reach you and buy your stuff?
Just just look us up online. We're the only band by the name of Dizygote that I'm aware of.
I think there's like this one like pop group.
There's like
somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, there was this Belgian house duo, but called Dizygote. But I don't think they're active anymore.
Gotcha.
Because I had to go when I was first doing this. I had to go and do an artist separation on all of the music platforms because they had us lumped in together, with this DJ music. I was like, no, that's not going to work.
A little bit different.
Yeah, DizygoteBand.com, that's our website, and we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and Bandcamp, and
Twitter.
A little bit on Twitter. I'm not like super active on Twitter, but we're there.
We just have it.
It's there,
I got you. I'm with you.
Spotify, Google Play, all that good stuff.
Everything and anything.
Yeah. Should we make an official TikTok? Just
no, I'm just
a
goose.
Ethan. All right. Now, hear me out, because I just had this conversation with somebody. TikTok. I was not in. Now, I made an account, and I'm just going off of numbers. That's all I'm doing. I'm not going off of I'm not watching the goofy shit. I'm not watching the dancing or anything like that. But whatever I've put on there, it does get views and it does get numbers. So if it's another avenue just to get the music out, I figure why not,
Yeah, maybe we'll have to look into it. I don't know.
Believe me, I ain't going to press you on it because it took me a while. So
yeah,
whatever it is.
I didn't either. No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe, father-son, duo dance, a doom dance of some kind, put on TikTok. Get a million views. All right, maybe not.
Is there dance?
Oh my God! It's the Doom dance is it's very slow. A lot of nodding, not a lot of head banging, and I don't think you can keep your eyes fully open. I think they have to be kind of like slits.
Right. Exactly.
I think that's it. Well, guys, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Take care. Stay safe out there.
You too, man. Thank you.
Maybe we'll give it a buzz when the album gets released.
Let's do that.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
All right, you too, man.
Thank you very much for listening. DoomToonPodcast@gmail.com. DoomToon Podcast on all forms of social media. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to stay heavy. And safe. That'd be pretty good. I think that'd be cool. Don't forget, craniumradio.com. That's where you listen Sunday afternoon, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'd be awesome too. You know, I got time to kill. I'm not playing a song right now. So, yeah, I think that's it. I'm out. Later.